Very good. Sorry about the delay, but we're on, Ms. Hurd is here. Very good, have a seat.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, we're calling Apari versus Hurd, D 6226669. Sorry, very sorry about the delay so far this morning. May we have appearances, please?
Sure. Good morning, Your Honor. Shaka Chrome on behalf of the plaintiff who's also present, bar number 8116.
Okay, and Ms. Hurd is here. Now, your client's timeshare is Thursday 5:30 to Sunday 5:30, that's today. He's not gonna need a pickup order if she produces Aslan by Thursday at 5:30 today, but if she doesn't, then I guess you can submit it. Why is it that you're not cooperating with him having his contact?
Are you talking me?
Yeah.
I'm actually preparing emergency motion myself. And it's just taken me a long time because I'm still raising her, but there's a lot of concerns. He's abusive, and that's why I got my teeth out.
Well, here's the problem, I don't have that emergency motion yet, and if I wait around and then someone finally files a motion to enforce his constitutional rights to the child, and then you say, oh, by the way, I don't agree, I was gonna get around to filing an
No,
emergency
I
motion that he's
yeah,
abusive.
right.
If he's abusive enough, here's what I'm getting to, if he's abusive enough that his constitutional rights should be suspended, this court isn't the first step, this court is the third step, way down on the pecking chain. If, number one, if he's that horrible that the sky's falling, it's a police matter, if the children are with him. Number two, if it's not something that needs to be addressed right now, but maybe within a few days, or more of a semi-emergency, it's a CPS matter. If it's something that you want this court to do something about, that he's so horrible that his rights should be suspended, it wouldn't be something, if it's that bad, generally speaking, it wouldn't be something that's brought to this court and is persuasive. If it's gonna be persuasive, you would have already involved, the authorities. We've been before this court on this. This has been extensively argued by your prior counsel, who withdrew because, from my understanding, you and them couldn't agree on the approach of the case. So, what is it he's done since the last hearing that
Well,
that's
he doesn't have her.
horribly abusive?
He
Pardon?
deflects all his parenting. He doesn't have
Because
her.
you won't turn her over.
No, since then,
He can't be neglecting his parenting if he's not receiving her, because
he was receiving her and he was neglecting her. He was leaving her.
when was he last receiving her?
He received her up until the day that he,
When was that day?
10/22.
Okay, so you haven't provided any contact since October?
That's when we had an altercation at the school.
Okay, and all of this was litigated to death months later with your highly skilled attorney, and they understood that this was gonna be the schedule, and they didn't have a problem with it and didn't object to it, and then they proceeded on, and then you either fired your attorney or they withdrew or whatever. So what is it since the last time, so I can't let you argue something that was argued by very skilled counsel on your behalf, or should have been, and that was not accepted as being sufficient to deny him his constitutional rights. You are confined with material that arose since the last hearing. Anything that you argued on June 24th or before then was not sufficient. So I'm not permitted, unless you forgot to tell something horrific to your attorney, or they forgot to tell me in court. The problem is you're confined with what he's done since June 24th, our last hearing. And he couldn't have done anything because you said he's had no contact since October.
Since June, that's what I'm talking.
Okay, so June of June
Every weekend
24th.
that he has her, he doesn't have her. He's giving her to his mom.
Okay.
He's handing her over to.
Okay, why is that okay, we can fix that, but why is that, for you to deny someone's right to a child, it can't be something like that where it would be better if he was around rather than a grandparent. I agree with that. But and you can deal with that, but you can't deny contact based on the fact you don't think there's optimum parenting. If it's a horribly neglectful or abusive situation, then number one, you have the right to deny contact very temporarily if, number two, you immediately spring into action with CPS, the police, emergency motions with this court, so that the other side's rights are impacted for the briefest amount of time possible. Instead, you've done nothing. So he leaves him, he uses his mother too much. Is that your best shot?
No, it's not. He's neglectful, and I have.
What did
I
he
have-
neglect? What did he neglect?
I have all the evidence.
Let me ask you what you had. What is he doing?
Video and,
What is he doing?
he's not.
How do you have video of someone being neglectful?
Because I keep.
He's in the house, you're not there. How do you have videos of him not doing something?
I have a video of my daughter sitting in the middle of the street in a parking lot.
Okay, when was that filmed? You don't know?
I have it right here.
What was the context? What happened?
It was after a softball game.
Okay, when was the softball game?
It was a,
Roughly. It's not a trick
Probably about
question, I'm
the
not
end
trying to
of-
trap you.
end of July.
Okay, end of July. What happened?
She was just sitting in the parking lot by herself.
What
and
happened? No, she's not just sitting in the parking lot. What was the story? Who had her? What was
He
going
had
on?
her. He had her. It was after a softball
What was this?
game.
Tell me the story. You don't go to the conclusion of the story. She's sitting in a parking lot. How did this happen? What happened?
I don't understand.
What do you mean you don't understand? You can't just tell me my daughter was sitting in a parking lot, so deny the other side their constitutional rights. Tell me the story. A bunch of stuff happened before she's sitting in the parking lot. Tell me what
He's
happened.
playing softball. He's playing softball after he plays softball.
And she was in his custody?
Yeah.
He took her to the game?
Yes.
Okay, you gotta tell me all this. Don't make me ask. Tell me the story.
Okay. I thought I had this.
Tell me what happened.
You, well, the reason why I'm even.
Don't tell me the reason you're, tell me what happened. You're saying
plays
you're,
softball
you're,
Friday
so we
nights.
have to zero in on this. You
Okay,
can't,
He plays softball
hijack
Friday
this to a
nights.
general
When I asked who's
discussion.
watching her, he's
Okay.
vague. He says the guys, people, and don't worry about it. Well, I do worry about it. My daughter
Okay.
can't effectively communicate with me. I can't. I don't know how she feels or what's going on, and he won't.
you
communicate
asked
with
him,
me.
you asked him who's watching her?
Yeah.
Who's
and
watching her when?
When he's playing softball.
Okay, and what did he say? Did he say I took her with me or I didn't? Or
Yeah. No, she went with him, and he says the guys watch her.
at the game?
Yeah.
On the bleachers or where?
I don't know.
Okay, so,
And then after the game. they
okay,
all
wait,
sit
so,
down and drink.
okay, so he's allowed to take a 6-year-old to his softball game, okay, right?
Mhm.
So what did he do or not do?
Then afterwards, they all hang out and drink and
Okay,
fine, but she's sitting there just by herself.
where was he drinking? In a bar or right there
right
at
there, in the
bleachers with his
parking
friend?
lot.
Right there, okay. And she's sitting how far from him?
Maybe 10 feet. 15
So he
feet,
was
10
sitting,
feet.
he wasn't sitting on the bleachers drinking, he was sitting with his butt in the middle of a busy parking lot with her drinking.
It was in the parking lot.
They would stay, he was standing up drinking in the parking lot?
Mm-hmm.
In the parking lot, not near the bleachers or the ball
In
field,
the parking lot.
okay? And where was she?
Sitting in the middle, in the street, in the middle of the street.
In the street,
In the
not in the
parking lot.
parking lot, but
In
in
the
the
parking lot.
highway, in the street.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not, I'm working too hard on this, so I'll turn to the other side to tell me what's going on. I shouldn't have to work this hard. Ms. Crum, what's going on? Tell me about
All right,
the
thanks.
softball game or whatever else that led to, the dispute that led to this denial. If it's something beyond the softball game she told him about, that she's upset about, whether it's him relying too much on his mother or the softball game, what else was it he was told? And what do you know about anything else she told, plus the softball game incident and him relying on his mother too much, which is what she seems to be telling me?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. This is the first I'm hearing about the July incident. She continued to allow him to have custody after this alleged July incident. This is the first time I'm hearing it. I do
Okay,
know
one sec-
that
one
when
second,
my
please.
client...
1 second, please. If you allowed him contact after this July softball incident, then by definition, this incident is zero justification for you denying him his rights. You're acknowledging you're a good mother, so if you were a good mother and you did something horrible, you would have denied him his rights then, right then and there. Proceed, please. Proceed, Ms. Crum. Proceed, please.
She's muted.
Unmute.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The mother has placed tracking devices on both Mario and his girlfriend's vehicles.
I
We placed a
figured something
recorder in
like
the police are involved regarding that. Mario has missed September 16th visitation. He advised that he did not need the right of first refusal for September 24th, yet she still didn't comply. He went to the school because since he didn't need the right of first refusal, and mom was there with her friend who was recording and being very rude and sending rude text messages. And mom went to the principal and told the principal that dad needed supervised visitation or supervision at the school. And the principal spoke with both of them and told dad that without a court order, he would only release the child to the parents. After school, he showed up to get the child, and mom got there first and immediately went up to the teacher, picked up the child, and left. I advised him to go to the police department where they conduct their exchange if mom hasn't shown. So she didn't show in September. The October 22nd at their school, which was Dad's day, mom took her to the fall festival, and then she pretended to go to the bathroom with the daughter and had her friend pick them up so that her car would still be in the parking lot and snuck out. Dad contacted the police. Mom said that there was some domestic violence and showed a video. I attached the police report where the officer said there was no violence, but issued them both blue cards. The very next day, mom applied for a TPO for herself and for the child. The TPO for the child was denied, and we filed a motion to dissolve because mom didn't indicate that the police officer didn't see any bruises or scratches and didn't see anything. And since then, she will not allow him, all throughout, he has denied FaceTime with this child. And then at one point said he could have between 30 seconds and 2 minutes to speak with a child. But now she is saying that she advised with a professional person involved with the child, even though her temporary protective order says she's supposed to abide by this court's rules. She says that she will only allow him to speak to the child through talking parrots so that she can transcribe it and record the conversations. So she's effectively denied his rights since September, not since October. That's what we're asking for, temporary primary custody, because dad will abide by the rules. Also, we think mom, she has a history of doing meth in the past. We're asking for her to be sent to ATI today for hair and urine. My dad will prepay for that.
He didn't.
And
He didn't
just
mention,
to
I don't think he mentioned anything about this at previous hearings, did he?
He did not, because she, when they were living together right before the previous hearing, she wasn't doing drugs.
We'll send her if
She
there's
had a
evidence
history.
of drug use, but there's evidence of obstruction of his rights that may indicate that there's
Right.
issues. It may not indicate drug issues per se. Did he see her recently and noted signs of meth usage or?
He's concerned about the substantial weight loss in such a short period of time. That's happened before when she was previously on meth, and so he's concerned. Also, mom has scheduled a whole bunch of activities during dad's time. She tells him that he can't go because only one parent can be there, and tells him that it's not in the child's best interest and that he's being selfish to request his time. So I think if we had clear orders where dad had primary, he will ensure that mom has her time. But my concern is that she's doing all these things while the court is involved. So what happens when the court is no longer involved? She'll continue to alienate and withhold. I would ask for specific orders regarding Thanksgiving and Christmas, and also to remove the right of first refusal language, because I think that spawned her putting tracking devices on the vehicle so that she could see where they are, when they're going somewhere. Yet when she goes to the gym or when she donates plasma, she leaves the child with other people as well. I would like to be able to resubmit the order without mom's signature, and I'll add the citations. I think mom's playing games. She told the police officers and the school that there are no court orders, that he does not have any rights to visitation, and they're all just really confused.
Okay. Now, Mom, I want you to know a few things. I have a few questions for you, then I'm gonna let you make a statement, because it wasn't working with Q&A when I was asking you for specific information. But I want you to know anything that you say to the police, if it's false or misleading about the non-existence of orders or non-existence of Dad's rights, you are not going to succeed, those type of transparent falsities will be immediately determined. You won't get anywhere with that, if in fact it's happening. I want to ask you a couple questions. You're on SSI and you also supplement your income somewhat by plasma donation. What's the nature of your disability that you're receiving benefits for?
It's my daughter, she receives SSI.
Oh, she's okay.
I used to do plasma, I have not been able to, because my daughter has 10 providers. I
Okay.
manage all of her medical, everything, and I have for the last 4 years.
Are you unable to obtain employment?
I don't even have time between taking care of her and now doing this.
Might have a lot more time if you let the other side have her the couple, 3 days a week like you're supposed to.
And I was, Your Honor,
Okay.
I can't work fast enough, and I finally had gotten everything together to give you this week, and.
Doesn't matter what you give me, it matters what if you're not able to tell me what these things
My
are,
concern is that my
it doesn't
daughter's
matter what you
behavior
give me.
started changing. Her potty training has regressed. She didn't wanna talk to
Have
one.
you spoken to Dad about any of this, or do you assume every
Yes.
little problem, you said you have a special
Yes.
needs child
Maybe.
and who has a disability. So you understand, of course, if you have a special needs child or a child with a disability, parenting even a child who doesn't have those challenges when both parents live together and are pulling in the same direction is extremely difficult. It's 10 times as difficult or more if you have a child with any sort of special needs or disability, and 100 times more difficult if you're dealing with a special child but in different homes and you guys pulling in different directions. So every time there is going to be a lot of problems because of the circumstances surrounding your daughter. Why do you assume that every time something happens, that rather than reaching out, sending him an email, talking it out with him, that you should just automatically assume that that's caused by something horrible he did and that you should deny contact?
I don't.
Why do you just assume that? Do you talk to him about this, or do you just deny contact? Can you point to one email or text or phone call where you said, hey, the potty training's regression? I'm not asking you to find it now, I'm asking you, did you tell him that?
Yes, I have sent him messages.
Did you
I've sent
say,
him messages.
this is regressing? Did you say, here's what we need to do?
Yeah, and I told him that I was getting
Okay.
her behavior therapy. It took me a long time because they don't have behavioral therapists for children who are speech delayed.
Okay.
It was really hard. So when I did get her in there, he said, when he was getting the messages, he's like, what's this about? I'm like, remember when I told you her behavior's changing, you've noticed it, I told you about her potty training, this is that behavior, and we finally got her in. And he's like, well, I'm gonna be there because I don't want you lying about me and Carrie. He hasn't been to a provider in 4 years. And the only time he's ever
Okay.
called her
So,
provider.
okay, let's assume he needs to do better about the medical care, which is a little difficult when you're living in different homes and you guys are in
That's-
conflict.
and that-
Why is it that I should tell him, you were so horrible that your constitutional rights to your daughter should be suspended, you should have no contact with your daughter? What's he currently doing that's so horrible that would enable the court to do something seemingly that absurd? What is it that you feel that you think I should sit
I
here
feel
and
like
say
I-
he gets no rights because you tell me you don't feel like him having rights?
No, I want him to have.
Okay,
That's the
are
thing,
you
I want
placing,
him to
are
see
you
her.
placing tracking devices on his car and stalking him and his girlfriend?
I was not stalking him and his girlfriend. I'm genuinely concerned about my daughter.
If you
because
placed
of
a
her
tracking
behavior.
device, you are stalking people, in my view, and it's very troublesome. Why do you put a tracking device on his car?
Because my daughter her behavior was changing.
Why
so
would
much,
you
she
need to
was
put a
getting-
tracking device on his car? Why do you care where he goes if you've denied contact with him the last few months and he's not taking your daughter anywhere because
he
you
wasn't
made sure of
working.
that?
Like, he would leave her. He'd
He's
be at
not,
the
wasn't
bar.
leaving her anywhere right now because you
No.
haven't allowed contact in months. So what do you have a tracking device on his car for? He can't be taking her anywhere because you won't let him have her.
I didn't have one then.
So when did you put it on? And of course, you didn't tell him about it, or it defeats the whole purpose.
and I've
When
been
did you
asking
when did you have the
where is she
tracking
at?
device
When-
placed?
when I
When
asked
did you
him-
have the tracking device placed?
I'm sorry?
When did you have it placed on his car?
I don't think it was until it was like the. day
So
or
I
two
just
right
found a
before we got-
time-consuming task that took some time to arrange and plan, that you either could have been spent looking for a job or tending to your daughter's needs. You wasted time on an issue, not what you may try and say you were trying to protect her. You're just you want to control where he goes and what he does, and you're upset that he has a girlfriend.
No, I tried to reach out to her, I've tried
Oh,
to
yeah, okay,
get along
fine.
with her, I've
Okay,
invited her to the doctor.
when did you place the tracking device on his car? Is your answer you don't know?
It's end of August.
When was it discovered to your knowledge?
It literally was like 2 days.
Within 2 days?
Mhm.
Okay, it indicates, don't play secret agent if you don't have the skill, if it was detected within 2 days. Okay, what were you trying to ascertain?
I just want,
You just want
Ashlyn
what?
wants a relationship with her dad. She loves.
No, you
she
didn't
wants
place
that
a tracking,
relationship.
you didn't place a tracking
He's-
device on a car, which is an outrageous circumstance, because you just want her to have a loving relationship with her father. Tell me why, why he's such a horrible criminal, and why the authorities couldn't
doesn't-
determine this, and that you needed to gather your own evidence. What is it he did that's so shockingly horrific that the police are ignoring despite your repeated entreaties, that you're forced to investigate matters on your own in that fashion? What is it he's done? Why did you put the tracking device on his car?
He's neglecting her, and
You put a tracking, you don't
he's not.
You don't put a tracking device on someone's car to prove that someone didn't change a diaper or heat up a meal. It has nothing to do with neglect. You put a tracking device, arguably, you find someone doing something horrible or criminal, and you want to find out where they're going. Why did you put a tracking device? To find out if he was going to see some girlfriend or something?
No,
Or what?
I want him to be home with her.
Okay,
He's
so I'll
not.
try this a fourth time. You put a tracking
not.
device because you want him to be a good parent and be home with her? Or why did you put
And
the
if
tracking
he's not
device?
gonna be with her, then this is what I've offered.
Why did you put the tracking device on his car this last time? Otherwise, I have to assume that you've had 6 times to answer. It was in plain English. You told me you understood my question. If you don't understand my question, then you need to tell me. Otherwise, I expect an answer which makes some sort of rational, logical sense. What were you hoping to catch him doing?
It wasn't him. I was hoping to find, if he wasn't with Aslan and having her and watching her, then I have to be able to prove that he's not with her. I can't just say it.
How do you, if you know where she is at a time and you know he's not there, you don't have to have a tracking device on his car to prove he's not there. A tracking device isn't going to tell you who he's neglecting or whether she's with him or not. If you happen to know where she is, that's all you need to know. She was in an inappropriate place or left with an inappropriate person because he wasn't around. You don't have to know what he was doing. All you would show is he's not around. So what is it you were hoping to accomplish?
That was it. I don't need to know what he's doing. You're right. I don't need to know what he's doing.
Okay, well then, if you don't need to know what he's doing, then don't place a tracking device on his car which is designed for the purpose of determining precisely what he's doing and where he's going. Do you think that's rational?
I honestly,
I think your attorney, who was quite a fighter, withdrew, and I don't think there was a secret, because they were having trouble connecting with you on the approach of the case.
I didn't-
Translation, forgive me, I don't think you're acting rationally. I don't think you're being rational or acting rationally. I think this goes well beyond you just violating his rights, and that's probably some good news for you, that I'm not sure you're in total control of your actions. That's probably something you don't want to argue with me about, because it's probably a favorable finding to you. But at this point, the court's, I think the approach should be, I'm not changing the custodial order if you comply and you turn her over to him by 5:30. Then the custodial order for now remains until we have a status check date in January, February, if you're gonna cooperate. But if you don't cooperate and he doesn't receive her back by 5:30, Ms. Crum can submit a pickup order, and that'll vest him with emergency custody till we get back to court. But that doesn't mean he's gonna be permitted to do what you do, even though he'd be in a much stronger position to do that, because he'd do that under the auspices or authority of a court order by keeping her from you, which is something you didn't have. But I wouldn't tolerate him doing to your rights what you're doing to his, even if he had the benefit of a court order, which he will, which you didn't. He's required to, within 24 hours of picking her up, to contact Ms. Crum to suggest an immediate pendency hearing before this court, so we can determine how custody is gonna be shared until further order. So if you want to continue on this 5-2 split that favors you, You get her to him by tonight, because your justifications for doing what you did are really lame. You're either really upset about the split up, and or you're just trying to control every aspect of his life in a totally irrational and reasonable manner. You don't understand the fact that just because you have a right to be really concerned about your daughter, particularly if your daughter has special needs, you don't have a right to control every aspect of the other person's life or their parenting. He just has to reach a very minimal level of parenting. He doesn't have to meet your definition of ideal parenting, or even my personal view of what it takes to be a passable parent. He just has to meet what the minimum standards set by the law, and nothing that I've heard would indicate he hasn't met the minimal standard, or that his constitutional rights deserve to be violated. I think what's happening is, there's been some issues with him as well, but I think you're totally out of control and you're not acting rationally, and your life has become a mission to keep him from his child and find some excuse, and you rationalize it to yourself by saying, I just want him to be a better parent. Well, newsflash, he's never gonna fit your definition of a parent or rise to the level that you expect him to. It's never gonna happen. You're not gonna make another person over like that. You couldn't do that even when you were together, and I assume you guys were together a while. You're certainly not gonna be able to do it now that you guys are separate, heading in separate directions in life. So he has to meet a minimal legal standard of passable parenting. He doesn't have to meet your hyper-technical demands of how he should or shouldn't behave on each and every situation. He doesn't have to meet that. And even if he did, I don't think you've even communicated that to him. You've just taken aggressive action. So the right of first refusal, yes, that does need to be eliminated. We're gonna have a status in February, and if nothing happens before February, then I expect the mom to come to court, hopefully with an attorney. Then we'll see where we are, whether we need to go to trial or whatever. I assume the February date may need to be vacated by a more immediate date, such as if Dad succeeds, if you don't cooperate and Dad submits the pickup order, and then Ms. Crum calls Chambers and says, we have the child, we need an immediate date. That's to protect your rights, because I'm not gonna let him, even with the benefit of the court order, do for more than 2 days to you what you did to him for months. I'm not gonna tolerate him saying, well, I got a pickup order and I got temporary custody. That only goes so far as to within 1 day he contacts the court and I tell everyone to be here within the next day or two, and we get hold of you and tell you, because I'm not gonna permit, even with the benefit of a court order, for him to do, even for 2 days, what you did to him for months and months and months with zero justification. So those will be the orders. Mrs. Crum can resubmit the order from the last hearing without Mom's signature. If she wants to enter the time entries, we'll go from there. We're gonna go ahead and let's get a February date, and I assume that if things go according to plan, that'll be vacated and we'll be in court a lot sooner. But for now, let's get the February status.
February 14th.
Your Honor, let me ask
Let's
a
not
few
make
more
it that
things
day.
when you're
We have a
done.
lot on the 15th. Go ahead.
February 17th at 11 a.m.
February 17th at 11. And if he's got the pickup order, we just have the February 17th to prevent it from slipping through the cracks. But we're not going to be waiting that long, because chances are you either cooperate, and that's great, and then we float along with this current schedule until February, and we get some Christmas and Thanksgiving time put in the record now. But I'm not foolish enough to think there'll be 100% compliance all the way till February. So if there isn't, then we have to deal with an emergency setting, or more to the point, if he's successful in either in the pickup order, then they'll contact Chambers and we'll set an immediate date. But if you produce her tonight at 5:30, then we're gonna continue along. I said 2-day schedule. It's really a 3-day schedule, Tim, so it's 4 to you and 3 to him. That's gonna continue on if there's compliance. Where are you supposed to meet for the exchange?
It's at the Henderson Police Department.
Okay, are you gonna be at the Henderson Police Department, young lady, tonight at 5:30, or are you
Yes, sir.
gonna complicate your life 10,000-fold? What are you gonna do?
I'll be there.
Okay. Ms. Crum, if
Your Honor,
he
just
calls
a-
you in the morning and you don't have, and he doesn't have Aslan, then We'll go from there.
Your Honor. Can I say-
Your Honor, just a couple more things.
Okay.
She had also placed a recording device in the diaper bag. I'd asked for a specific order that she stop doing that.
You don't, Mom, you don't, yes, so what? Mom, you don't see anything wrong with all this?
I thought it was protecting her.
It's not protecting her.
And then,
Have you contacted the police or CPS?
When, I haven't initiated
I'm not,
it.
I'm not
When he-
suggesting it, in fact, I don't think you should, but if you didn't even contact them and you're resorting to, if the police or the CPS agencies don't see anything that's really compelling, you're trying to create your own case, what do you think he's gonna do on a how's a recording device gonna establish he's neglectful? What, you gonna walk around the house announcing, gee, I didn't feed her for lunch, I wonder how long I can get away with not feeding her? I mean, what do you hope to accomplish? He's gonna be announcing, it's not a
No.
video, it's a recording device, he's gonna be announcing conclusions about his neglect? Or is it you trying to hear what he's doing with some girl, or
No,
what?
no.
Oh, no, of course not, yeah, of course not. You'd never do that. So what is it you're hoping to glean? What is he gonna say on this tape that's gonna, he's gonna walk around announcing, I'm an abusive, neglectful parent?
No.
What do you hope to have him say?
I wasn't hoping to have him say anything.
Oh, so you
when I
wanted him
was-
recorded because you're hoping you don't, you
I was just
don't
trying to find
capture, that you don't capture any audio,
I've asked him.
that you don't want any audio recordings, and that's why you put a tape in the
Asked him
diaper bag.
about her, like, what is she doing, like, what are you guys up to? And-
So why don't you ask him?
and I did, and he wouldn't tell me, and then he's more
So,
secretive, and he won't
so this
respond, and
recording
so-
is gonna tell you what he's up to. He's gonna say, let's go to the park now, or what?
So he, he wasn't there with her. And he-
So the recording's gonna, you're gonna get a recording that's silent, and that's gonna establish he's not there with her? It's just gonna establish the room where you have the recorder, that there's no one within 10 feet of the diaper bag speaking loudly, is all you're gonna accomplish. I don't understand. But of course, yes, that's
Your Honor.
so ordered. What are we gonna do about Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Yes.
well, I would like for him to have Christmas Day, since there's been so much time that's lapsed. If she wants Thanksgiving Day, I would like for him to have the day, well, I would like for him to honestly to have both. He's missed so much time that I would like for him to have both.
Okay.
And she
you
can have
heard their
Christmas
request
Eve.
about Thanksgiving. What would you like to tell us?
You can have both.
All right. Just make sure you put in the order the specific dates and the times that he's to pick up and exchange
Okay.
back.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
And then, Your Honor, your ruling for ATI, please, if we'd like a
You know,
referral.
I don't, I don't believe she's.
The reason
on
why
meth,
is
but
because
I
there's
don't
been a-
believe she's on meth. I believe her, that would be too easy. That would explain that we have a drug dependency issue that may explain some of this. I think the problems here are unfortunately are more deep rooted. But they're interested in, they're mentioning some dramatic weight loss. I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm trying, I haven't lost any weight, I don't know.
Your Honor, he understands that if he requests this now and it comes back fine, then we're happy, that's great. But he'll pay
He's
for
willing-
it.
And he's willing to get the payment down there?
He will.
They want us, and if we send that, we'll have the same return date, but if the results are positive, just like with the pickup order thing, if he can if he has to resort to a pickup order, that's gonna cause an acceleration of the court date. Same thing with the drugs. If we get something that's really
Right.
disturbing, that could accelerate the date as well, but for now, we'll keep the February 17th date. They want you tested.
next-
Are you on any prescription or psychotropic drugs or anything at this time?
Prescriptions, I take, Adderall, and I take, ibuprofen, and I take my,
An over-the-counter ibuprofen or
It's
the one with the
ibuprofen,
narcotic in it,
that's
the
what's
over-the-counter one? Okay.
ibuprofen.
I mean, the one with the
And then-
narcotic, the prescription ibuprofen, or just the
No,
one
no,
over
I'm
the
just,
counter?
I was telling you all my prescriptions.
Okay.
And then I have some for anxiety, they're antihistamines, I had them listed before.
Have you dealt with a mental health care professional over the last 10 years?
Yes, I was in therapy, and then I haven't.
Are you in
and
therapy
I-
now?
I'm actually scheduled for Monday.
Because I'll tell you right now, if you were to tell them the total unvarnished truth about all this, it's not going to be a surprise when they don't do these things, don't spy on people, don't track their device, don't record. You know, it's not.
I
Of
haven't-
course, if you present to them an alternate universe, then they may
I'm
tell you
not
something
going to.
different. Okay. Now,
Your Honor,
she said you're commencing therapy, and that's good. Is that covered? And that's not out of pocket, of course.
Yes, it is.
All right. So, how much do you
The other
receive from your
things-
daughter's disability?
$794.
And you donate your plasma?
I haven't had time to do that.
You
so-
can't maintain that for too long and remain healthy.
Can I say one thing?
Uh-huh.
Just in regards to this, one of my issues or concerns, I guess, is with Mario making a substantial amount of money, if it's placed joint, the time, that's what I'm upset about, the word joint and the.
He's still gonna have to, pay support even if
No,
it's
I'm
joint
not
because of
worried
the
about that,
difference in
it's her
income.
That's not
benefits,
it,
and
Your
she
Honor.
has medical benefits, she has
Okay.
10 providers through, that's the big thing. And we pay nothing, we pay no co-pays, we pay nothing for therapy, I mean, she goes to therapy 3 times a week, like, and I know, we're gonna have to transition to, her not being on that, but right
Yeah.
now, I'm not in a position to, and I've asked Mario to look at his insurance, but right now, as of right today, I would like to preserve that.
You heard that, she wants, she wants him to evaluate his insurance for the coverage. You heard what she said, can he do so?
he could do so. What she's really saying is she wants
know.
primary designation.
I know.
I-
But
Okay.
she's
You're-
saying on the surface, though, that regardless of the timeshare, that she wants that insurance situation to be inquired into, so he can go ahead and inquire and try and resolve that.
Sure.
Okay, I don't
Your
think,
Honor, the
I
only-
don't think illicit drug usage is the problem here. I wish it was that simple, but they want you drug tested. Is there anything and these tests track back several months at least. So that's how sophisticated they are these days. What is it that's gonna show up?
My,
You tell me now, that way I don't have to get upset about it. I'm not upset if you tell me the truth.
the Adderalls and.
Okay, so you make sure you declare those when you report for the test. What else, anything illegal show? I really only care if you lie to me. If you tell me something's gonna show and it does, but then we see the baselines decrease, it's not gonna impact your custodial rights, but the lie becomes the issue though. Because then I have to assume you're not gonna tell me the truth about anything.
Right,
So if
no.
there's anything you used without a prescription over the last 6 months, you need to tell me, and you need to tell me now.
Yes,
Pardon?
yes,
What would you use?
methamphetamine.
Okay, because that's what he is. That's what they seem to be focusing on. Now, when was the last usage?
Shoot,
Remember, they're going to find out.
I know,
Assume there's eyes all around, because there are. Was it 2 months ago?
6 weeks to 2 months ago,
Pardon?
6 weeks to 2 months ago.
All right, Ms. Chrome, I appreciate your honesty, young lady. I'm going to dispense with the test and just make a finding that it would be positive for meth. But when we come back to, maybe it's useful because of the baseline issue to see where we're at and to see what a subsequent test might show. So,
Right, Your Honor, I just have some
but he may
concerns.
not,
if
he may
we-
not want to spend $140 if we already know it's going to be positive. But if you're really concerned about the levels, that's fine. We can send her. She told me
Well,
the
I'm
truth, and
concerned
she'll-
about the
I'll make sure she
custodial
tells me.
arrangement.
Pardon?
I'm concerned about the custodial arrangement. Only Mom keeps saying she's nonverbal, and if Mom's a meth user, then why are we keeping this child in the same custodial
Well, then
arrangement
let's
if Mom
find
needs to
out-
get
Then
some?
let's find out what we're dealing with, and maybe the readings or the levels would be informative. So we'll go ahead with the test, and we'll go from there. And we'll need to process this young lady. Do they still get hands? No, I don't get hand stamped anymore. But you go ahead and send the young lady in the right direction. Very good, Ms. Crum. Is there anything else for today's purpose, or?
Just to remind Mom that we have a settlement conference that I want to keep in place this court ordered that we needed to meet. And then also I would ask to submit a memo of fees and cost, only because mom's actions that she's admitted. And if this court, I just want to reserve our right for fees.
But
I know
that.
she's not working.
The
I
hard
think-
reality of it, though, unless things change dramatically, you're probably dealing with a judgment-proof individual, but I'm getting ahead of myself. When is that conference set for?
She's supposed to come to my office tomorrow.
Okay, and you're planning to come to her office tomorrow?
Well,
I kind of assumed it might.
I would ask for it to be moved, Your Honor, sir, until after we get the test.
Okay, well, we already know what the test is gonna show, we just don't know the levels. You may as well proceed with it. Just to say
Okay.
when you proceed with this, that you're gonna get a positive test to some degree. Are you comfortable going?
Okay.
Because I don't have a problem with your demeanor, I have a problem with you, the responses you give and the justifications you give to violate his rights, but you haven't been, you haven't been loud or disrespectful or combative, so I assume I just don't like your justifications for violating court orders and someone's critical rights. But that said, since behavior doesn't seem to be a problem, if Ms. Crum doesn't have a problem with you appearing in her office, I don't have a problem. Is she welcome to come and discuss this with you?
She is. We'll be in the conference room. A member of my staff will be
Okay.
present as well.
Yeah, I don't think this young woman's combative. I'm just upset about and I've let that be clear to her, that her justifications for violating someone's rights and all this nonsense about tracking devices and recordings, and you understand how I feel about this. And maybe, just maybe, some of this, what I quite find to be delusional or paranoid behavior, maybe it is tied in to some degree with meth usage. So if you are using meth or did in the last few months, the sooner that you put that out of your life forever, the better. And then the medications that you're prescribed, because those are not, those can be pretty serious too, some of them, Adderall and some others if misused. Are you careful to remain within the dosage and interval amounts, like?
Yeah.
All right, because if you don't, make sure you declare all your prescriptions, tell them exactly, and tell them you were in court and you conceded to meth usage, let's say within about the last 6 weeks, maybe sooner, and tell them that, just be an open book, and we'll go from there, okay? And I do appreciate your honesty on that issue. And be honest with the court and with the other side, and it's gonna go a long way, and don't do anything like following people, electronic surveillance, any of that, and you should be all right. And first and foremost, get your daughter over there by 5:30 tonight, okay? Because they're gonna cancel. And if he doesn't get his daughter by 5:30 tonight, he'll tell you can go ahead and cancel the conference. Because there's no reason to have the conference if he's not gonna get his daughter, right?
So
Then you'll be in the pickup order mode. They're not gonna wanna talk to you or negotiate anything to you if you remain in violation. And you promised me you're gonna produce her.
I will.
Okay. Don't be
I
late.
didn't maybe I'm just more controlling than I realized.
Pardon? Well, if you
I just
recognize that,
worry,
that's a
I
good
guess,
start. But you can't, if something seems hyper-controlling to a disturbing level to outsiders, you're not gonna be able to justify that to anyone rational by just saying, oh, I'm just trying to protect my daughter. You should see the things people try and justify and think people will accept if you just say, oh, I'm just protecting my family member. Just stating that sort of conclusion is not gonna convince anyone who's rational that irrational actions should be tolerated, so keep that in mind. All right, thank you very much.
Your Honor, just one more thing. I'm really sorry. Just if she could stop having her friend Dixie at exchanges and texting my client. She texts nasty messages. She videos at these exchanges. She goes to the kids' school. She's very disruptive.
You've recruited
I just need her to
someone,
calm
you
down.
appear to have some support in your mission, and I don't think this Dixie doesn't sound like a true friend if they're buying into all your drama and encouraging it rather than helping you take a step back and see things rationally. So if you have to bring some, either come alone and don't come with Dixie. Okay.
I've never brought Dixie to the exchanges. This is one
All right,
time
if you haven't, they're saying that
Or at the
Dixie's,
school or anything.
they're saying then you'll have no trouble complying, no Dixie, okay? Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Back to that.
Thank you. All right, thank